All right, so we figured out our demands for our service. We've got our service conductors. We've got our main circuit breaker. Now let's take a look at the branch circuit for the range. So now people, we get into confusion. Students get confused here. They do the service calculation, and the rule says in 8-200 that for a range, you have to put it in at 6,000 watts plus 40% by the amount it exceeds 12 kilowatts. So it was a 16 kilowatt range. We put in the 6,000 plus the 40% by the amount it exceeds. So that worked out. It goes into the service at 7,600 watts. On the branch circuit, now we have to look at this rule, 8-300, subrule 1A and B, and we'll have to take a peek at 26744, subrule 4. All right, so take a look to your code book here at 8-300, branch circuit supplying electric ranges. Conductors of a branch circuit supplying a range in a dwelling unit shall be considered as having a demand of 8 kilowatts where the rating of the range does not exceed 12 kilowatts, or B, 8 kilowatts plus 40% of the amount by which the rating of the range exceeds 12 kilowatts. So here into the service, it goes in at 6,000 plus 40% by the amount exceeds 12. So into the service it went at 7,600 watts, but on the branch circuit side, it goes in at 8,000 plus 40% of the amount it exceeds 12 kilowatts. That gives us a demand on the branch circuit side of 9,600 watts there compared to 7,600 for the service. All right, so the closer you get to the point of utilization on equipment, the less of a break you get. So now we know what that is. If you divided it by 240 volts, that would come out to 40 amps. Let's go take a look and see what 26744 says. Subrule 4. All right. It says here, where a freestanding electric range having a calculated demand of 50 amps or less is intended to be installed in a dwelling unit, a receptacle of CSA configuration 1450R, as shown in diagram 1, shall be installed for the supply of electrical energy to the appliance. So our range receptacle, the rule on the configuration that we need, a 1450R, is right here in this rule, supply connections for appliances. Then subrule 5 says, the receptacle required by subrule 4 shall be permitted to be connected to a branch circuit rated at not less than 40 amps. So even though that you need a 50 amp rated receptacle, they will allow you to use a 40 amp circuit breaker on it. That is the minimum requirement. All right? It's one of the unique spots in the code where you actually can put a breaker in smaller than the rating of a receptacle. So then subrule 6 talks about the installation of the receptacle, the height, and the orientation of it. Then let's take a look at the clothes dryer. 6 kilowatt clothes dryer, it goes into the service at 1,500 watts, but on the branch circuit side, 26744, subrule 2 talks about that branch circuit. It says, where an electric dryer, clothes dryer, having an input in excess of 1,500 watts at 115 volts, but not exceeding 30 amps, is intended to be installed in a dwelling unit, a receptacle of CSA configuration 1430R, as shown in diagram 1, shall be installed for the supply of energy to the appliance. Subrule 3 goes on to say, an electric clothes dryer having an input in excess of 1500 watts at 115 volts, but not exceeding 30 amps, and is used in a dwelling unit, shall be cord connected by means of a cord and attachment plug of CSA configuration 1430R to the receptacle referred to in subrule 2. So we're going to need a 30 amp branch circuit, and we're going to need a 1430P receptacle for it. All right, so when you go buy your dryers, they're cord connected from Home Depot or wherever you buy it. So it goes into the service at 25%, but on the branch circuit side, the minimum you're going to put in there, if it's over 115 volts, as long as it's less than 30 amps, is a 30 amp branch circuit with a 30 amp receptacle. And on the hot water tank, let's go take a 8-104 subrule 4. It says here, a load of a cyclic or intermittent nature shall be classified as a continuous load unless it meets the requirements of subrule 3. So the pool heater as well as the hot water tank fall under 8-104 itself. Continuous. Therefore, if we had 80% rated breakers, we could only load them up to 80%, and we can only load the conductors up to 80% as well. We showed that in a different video on how you deal with that continuous loading on 80% rated equipment. Be aware of that, even though that the main service is not continuous, because 8-200 subrule 3 told us it isn't. Inside the service, there are continuous loads. The furnace is, the pool heater is, the hot water tank is, the clothes dryer dealt with in this rule, and the range is dealt with in that rule. All right, so that takes care of that. And in the next video, we're going to select the panel spaces required for this single family dwelling. All right.